I was looking at our wedding photos when my mom texted, "When do we finally meet him?" I froze. Because she's already met him. She raised him with me. I showed Logan the message. He just whispered, "We can't tell them." That's when it hit me. We didn't just get married. We're still lying to our family. I stared at the message longer than I should have. The 3 dots were already there. She was typing again. I locked my phone before the next message could come through. Logan was sitting across from me at the kitchen counter, scrolling through something on his laptop, completely calm. Like this wasn't the same conversation we'd been avoiding for years. I slid the phone toward him. He read it once. Then again. His jaw tightened just slightly. "When do we finally meet him?" He exhaled through his nose, slow. "We knew this was coming," he said. I didn't answer. Because yeah, we did. We'd just been pretending we didn't. "Say something," I told him. He closed the laptop. Looked at me properly this time. "We can't tell them." There it was. Immediate. Final. Not even a pause to consider anything else. I felt something drop in my chest. "They're asking to meet my husband," I said. "That's normal, Logan. They already know me." "That's not the same." "It has to be." The way he said it wasn't defensive. It wasn't emotional. It was practical. Like this was just another problem to manage. I leaned back in my chair, staring up at the ceiling for a second, trying to slow everything down. Because this wasn't just about a text. It never was. This started years ago. Back when none of this was supposed to happen. Back when we were just 2 teenagers stuck in the same house, trying to survive a situation neither of us chose. I was 13 when my mom married Richard. We moved into his house in Beaverton. New neighborhood. New school. New everything. And him. Logan. 14. Quiet. Already settled into a life that I had just walked into and disrupted. I remember the first night clearly. We were standing in the hallway. My mom was unpacking boxes downstairs. Richard was trying to make small talk about dinner plans. And it was just us for a second. He looked at me like he didn't know what to do with me. Which, honestly, same. "Hey," I said. "Hey." That was it. That was the entire start of everything. We didn't become close overnight. If anything, we stayed out of each other's way as much as possible. He kept his door closed. I stayed in mine. We argued over stupid things when we did interact. The bathroom. The TV. Music too loud. Lights left on. It wasn't hatred. It was just friction. 2 people forced into the same space without choosing it. But over time, something shifted. Not all at once. Not in a big, obvious moment. Just small things. Our parents were rarely home at the same time. My mom's real estate hours were unpredictable. Richard worked late more often than not. So it was usually just us. At first, we'd eat separately. Then one night, he made pasta and left the pot on the stove. "Take some if you want," he said, not even looking at me. I did. The next night, I ordered takeout and asked if he wanted anything. He said yes. And that was it. We started eating together without calling it that. Sitting across from each other. Talking about nothing important. School. Teachers we didn't like. Random stuff we saw online. It wasn't deep. But it was easy. And easy turned into routine. Routine turned into comfort. And comfort turned into something neither of us named. I think the first moment I noticed it was different was on the couch. We were watching some movie neither of us cared about. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I don't even remember deciding to do it. It just happened. He went completely still. Not pulling away. Not reacting. Just aware. I felt it immediately. That moment where something shifts and you don't know if you should undo it or pretend it's normal. I stayed. And after a second, so did he. We didn't talk about it. Not that night. Not the next day. Not ever. But something had changed. You can feel those things even when no one says them out loud. After that, we kept living our lives. Dating other people. Going to school. Acting like nothing was different. But every time we ended up in the same room, there was this quiet awareness between us. Like we both knew something we weren't supposed to know. Years passed like that. Slow. Uneventful. Normal on the outside. Until it wasn't. I was 21 when everything finally broke. I had just ended a relationship that I thought was going to last. It didn't. It ended badly. Loud arguments, things said that you can't take back. I moved back to the house for a while because I didn't have anywhere else to go. Logan was there too. Finishing grad school. Same as always. Calm. Steady. Unaffected. Or at least that's what I thought. One night, I was sitting in the kitchen, crying over something that didn't even matter anymore. Just everything piling up at once. He walked in, grabbed a glass of water, and stopped when he saw me. "You okay?" he asked. I laughed a little. Not because it was funny. "I feel like I don't belong anywhere," I said. I wasn't expecting anything back. But he sat down next to me anyway. Close. Not touching. "You belong here," he said. Simple. No hesitation. And something about the way he said it. It didn't feel like he meant the house. I turned toward him. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just kissed him. And for a split second, everything went completely silent. This was the moment. The one where he was supposed to stop it. Tell me it was wrong. Remind me who we were supposed to be. He didn't. He kissed me back. And that was it. There wasn't some dramatic realization. No big speech. Just a line we crossed quietly. And once we crossed it, we didn't go back. We didn't talk about it the next day. That was the strangest part. I woke up expecting everything to feel different. Heavy. Awkward. Wrong. But it didn't. Logan was already in the kitchen when I walked in, making coffee like nothing had happened. He glanced at me. Morning. Just like that. No tension. No panic. And somehow, that made it worse. Because if he wasn't going to say it was a mistake, then what was it? I stood there for a second, waiting for him to bring it up. He didn't. So I did. What happened last night? He didn't interrupt me. Just leaned against the counter, watching me. I forced myself to finish. That can't happen again. There it was. The responsible thing. The normal thing. He nodded slowly. Okay. Just okay. No argument. No hesitation. And that should have been the end of it. It wasn't. That same night, we ended up in the living room again. Same couch. Same quiet space. Different silence. I sat on the far end this time. He noticed. I could tell. Neither of us said anything for a while. Then, halfway through whatever we were watching, he said, "You don't have to sit that far." I didn't move. "You agreed," I said. "I did." "Then why does this feel like you didn't mean it?" He didn't answer right away. When he finally did, his voice was lower. Because I didn't. That should have been the moment I stood up and walked away. Instead, I moved closer. Not all the way. Just enough. Like we were testing something neither of us fully understood. "Logan," I started. "I know," he said. "I know what this is supposed to be." "Then why aren't we stopping?" He looked at me for a long second. "Because I don't want to." Honest. Too honest. And that was the problem. Because I didn't want to either. That was the part one couldn't say out loud. But I didn't have to. He could see it. From that point on, it wasn't confusion anymore. It was a choice. A quiet one. We didn't suddenly become reckless. If anything, we became more careful. More aware. More controlled. We never acted differently when anyone else was around. Not even small things. No lingering looks. No accidental touches. Nothing that could raise a question. We were exactly what everyone expected us to be. Step-siblings. Normal. Safe. But the second we were alone, everything shifted. It wasn't constant. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. A look that lasted too long. Sitting too close without moving away. Conversations that felt heavier than they should. Then eventually more. And somehow we justified it. Over and over again. We're not related. We didn't grow up together as kids. This isn't the same thing. We said it enough times that it started to feel true. Or at least, easier to live with. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into something real. That's when the pressure started. Not from us. From everything around us. My mom would make comments sometimes. "Logan, can you help your sister with that?" The word sister started to feel wrong. Like it didn't fit anymore. Like it belonged to a version of us that didn't exist. One night, we were sitting in his room, door closed, lights low. I said it out loud for the first time. "This is going to blow up eventually." He didn't look surprised. "I know. And when it does, it's not just us." "I know. My mom, your dad." "I know." Every answer was the same. Calm. Acknowledging the reality. But not stopping. "Then why are we still doing this?" I asked. That was the first time he didn't answer immediately. He ran a hand through his hair, thinking. Finally, he said, "Because I'd rather deal with that later than lose this now." That hit harder than anything else. Because it was selfish. And honest. And exactly how I felt. That's when I realized something I didn't want to admit. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something we were going to come to our senses about. We were already too far in. The turning point came about a year later. I couldn't do it anymore. Not the hiding. Not the constant awareness of who might walk in. Not the feeling that everything real about us only existed in secret. "I don't want to be this person," I told him one night. We were sitting on the floor, backs against the bed, the room completely quiet. "What person?" "The one who has to lie all the time." He looked at me carefully. "You think I like it?" "I think you're better at ignoring it." That one landed. He didn't deny it. "What are you saying?" he asked. "I'm saying this can't stay like this." Silence. Then finally. "You want to tell them?" I hesitated. Because saying yes meant everything changed. Saying no meant nothing did. "I don't know," I admitted. And that was the truth. For the first time, we weren't on the same page. He leaned back against the bed, staring up at the ceiling. "If we tell them, it's over," he said. "You don't know that." "I do." There it was again. That certainty. "They won't understand this," he continued. "They won't try to. They'll just see what they want to see." "And what is that?" "That it's wrong." The word hung there. Wrong. Simple. Heavy. Final. I didn't argue. Because part of me knew he wasn't wrong. But part of me also knew I couldn't keep living like this forever. That night didn't end in a decision. It ended in distance. Not physical. Something quieter than that. Something that stayed even when we were sitting right next to each other. And for the first time since this started, I wondered if loving him was enough. Or if eventually, something was going to break anyway. I just didn't know if it would be us. Or everything around us. The distance was supposed to fix it. That's what we told ourselves. That if we just stepped away from each other, from the house, from everything that made it easy, things would settle back into something normal. So I left first. Seattle felt far enough. New city. New apartment. New routines. I told my mom it was for work, for a fresh start, for independence. All true. Just not the whole truth. Logan stayed in Beaverton for a few more months, finishing what he needed to finish. We didn't talk about what we were during that time. We didn't label anything. We just didn't stop talking. At first, it was casual. How's the new place? Did you figure out the bus routes yet? Is the coffee really better there, or is that just a myth? Normal conversations. Safe conversations. But underneath it, there was something else. Every message felt like it carried more weight than it should. Every call lasted longer than planned. We avoided certain topics without saying we were avoiding them. Like if we didn't name it, maybe it would fade. It didn't. If anything, the distance made everything sharper. More defined. More real. Because now it wasn't just something that happened when we were in the same house. We were choosing it. Every day. One night, a few weeks after I moved, he called me later than usual. I almost didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to. Because I knew if I did, it would mean something. I answered anyway. Hey. There was a pause. Not awkward. Just full. I miss you, he said. No build-up. No hesitation. Just dropped into the silence like it had been sitting there waiting. I closed my eyes. You're not supposed to say that. I know. Then why did you? Because it's true. That was the moment everything shifted. Again. Not sudden. Not dramatic. Just a quiet line being crossed without either of us stepping back. After that, we stopped pretending. Not to anyone else. Just to ourselves. We started talking about real things. About what this actually was. About what it meant. About what it would look like if we didn't stop. And every time we talked about stopping, neither of us could say it. Months passed like that. Calls turned into visits. Carefully planned. Always separate from anything that could connect us publicly. He came to Seattle once. We told no one. Not my friends. Not our parents. No one. When I saw him at the airport, it felt like everything inside me just settled. Like the distance had been noise, and he was the silence after it. We didn't talk much on the drive back. We didn't need to. That weekend felt dangerously normal. Cooking together. Watching movies. Falling asleep without worrying who might hear something through the walls. It was the first time we experienced what this could be without fear. And that made it harder to let go. When he left, it felt worse than before. Because now we knew. We knew what we were choosing. And what we were risking. A few months later, he moved. Denver. Better job. Better opportunity. That's what he told everyone. And again, it was true. Just not the whole truth. The distance between Seattle and Denver was different. Closer. More manageable. We started seeing each other more. Long weekends. Short trips. Excuses that sounded normal on the surface. To everyone else, we were just two adults living separate lives. To each other, we were something we still couldn't fully explain. At some point, the question stopped being, is this wrong? And started being, how long can we keep doing this? That was the real pressure. Not guilt. Not even fear. Sustainability. Because hiding something like this doesn't just affect what you say. It affects everything. Where you go. Who you introduce. What stories you tell. You start editing your life in real time. Every conversation becomes a calculation. Every detail gets filtered. It's exhausting. And it builds. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day, it's all you can think about. The breaking point came during a phone call. Nothing dramatic. No fight. No accusation. Just clarity. I can't keep doing this halfway, I told him. There was a long pause on the other end. What does that mean? It means this either becomes something real, or we stop. Another pause. Longer this time. You think this isn't real? He asked. That's not what I said. It sounds like it. I sat up in bed, suddenly frustrated. You know what I mean, Logan. Then say it. So I did. I mean, I don't want to keep hiding you. Silence. Then. That's the only way this works. There it was. Again. His version of reality. Clear. Defined. Controlled. And what happens when it doesn't? I asked. It has to. That's not an answer. It's the only one we have. I could feel something shifting. Not breaking. Not yet. But moving. Like a crack forming under pressure. Come to Austin, I said suddenly. The words surprised even me. What? I'm serious. Why Austin? Because it's not Seattle. It's not Denver. It's not home. It's somewhere new. For what? For us. There was a long silence. I could almost hear him thinking, calculating, weighing everything the way he always did. You're asking me to leave everything, he said. I already did. That landed. I didn't mean it as pressure, but it was. And we both knew it. Another pause. Then finally. Okay, just like that. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Just a decision. 6 months later, we were both in Austin. Same city. Same apartment. No more distance. No more waiting. And for the first time since this started, there was nothing between us. No walls. No doors to close. No one to hide from. It should have felt overwhelming. Complicated. Wrong. It didn't. It felt easy. That's what scared me the most. Because if something this complicated could feel this simple, then maybe the problem wasn't us. Maybe it was everything around us. And if that was true, then eventually we were going to have to choose. Not just each other, but what we were willing to lose to stay that way. Living together didn't feel wrong. That's the problem. It felt like something we had been building toward the entire time without admitting it. The first morning in Austin, I woke up before him. For a second, I didn't recognize where I was. New ceiling. Different light coming through the blinds. Then I turned my head, and there he was. No distance. No secrecy. No waiting for footsteps in the hallway. Just there. I remember thinking, this is what normal is supposed to feel like. And that thought scared me more than anything else. Because nothing about how we got here was normal. We built routines fast. Groceries together. Late night takeout. Arguing about things that didn't matter, and then laughing about it 10 minutes later. It was easy. Too easy. Like the years of tension, distance, and secrecy had just smoothed out into something simple. We didn't talk about the past much. We didn't talk about what we were avoiding. We just lived in what we had. For a while, that was enough. Then one night, sitting on the floor with takeout containers between us, he said it. I don't want to lose this. I looked at him. You won't. That's not something you can promise. I knew that. We both did. But I said it anyway. Then we don't let it go. That was the closest thing we had to a decision. There was no big moment. No dramatic turning point. Just two people choosing not to walk away. He proposed a few months later. No crowd. No planning. Just a quiet question in a quiet room. And I said yes. Of course I did. Because by that point, saying no wouldn't have made anything simpler. It just would have made everything hurt more. The wedding was small. No family. That part felt heavier than I expected. I told myself it didn't matter. That what we had was enough. But standing there, saying vows without the people who raised us, it didn't feel complete. It felt hidden. Like even the happiest moment of my life had to be edited. After that, we settled into something that looked like a normal marriage. Work. Bills. Weekends. We were good together. That never changed. What changed was everything around us. My mom started asking more questions. When do I meet him? What's his family like? Why haven't we seen you together? Every question felt like pressure building under the surface. Logan's dad started doing the same. Talking about visiting. About family time. About the future. We kept dodging. Always polite. Always vague. Always careful. But the gaps in our story were getting harder to cover. And then came the conversation we had been avoiding. Kids. It started casually. A comment. A joke. Then it turned into something real. What would that even look like? I asked one night. He didn't answer right away. We'd figure it out. That's not what I mean. I know. Silence. Heavy. If we have a kid, we can't keep doing this, I said. He looked at me. I could see it in his face. He already knew. We don't have to tell them everything, he said. That's not how this works. It's how it's been working. Barely. That word sat between us. Barely. Because that's what this had become. Not impossible. But not sustainable either. They'll find out eventually, I said. Maybe. Or we tell them first. And lose them on purpose? That hit. Because that's what it would feel like. A choice. Not something happening to us. Something we did. I don't want to lose them, I said quietly. Neither do I. Then what are we doing? He didn't answer. For once, he didn't have a clear solution. Just silence. And that scared me more than anything else. Because Logan always had an answer. Always had a way to manage things. And now, he didn't. That's when I realized something I hadn't let myself fully see before. We didn't just build a life together. We built it on something fragile. Something that only worked as long as no one looked too closely. And now, people were starting to look. The message from my mom came a week later. When do we finally meet him? I stared at it for a long time. Then I showed Logan. He read it. Set the phone down. We can't tell them. Same answer. Same certainty. But this time, it didn't feel enough. Because now I could see everything clearly. The past. The choices. The life we built. And the cost of it. I love him. That part has never changed. Out of everything, that's the only thing that's always been real. But love doesn't erase what this is. Or what it looks like to everyone else. Or what happens when the truth finally catches up. Sometimes I think about what would happen if we told them. If we sat them down and just said it. No excuses. No explanations. Just the truth. I can already see their faces. The confusion first. Then the realization. Then something worse. And I don't know if we come back from that. I don't know if there's a version of this where we keep both. The life we built. And the family we came from. Right now, we're still holding on to both. But it feels temporary. Like something is going to give. Soon. And when it does, I don't know if we'll be ready for what we lose.